Welcome, welcome, welcome. Looks like it's working, but still not sure. So I'm just gonna keep on talking until. Oh, I'm looking at the screen right here. You can see we're getting there. Anyway, if you could hear me. Oh, here we go. I think it started. Anyway, so welcome to reality, basically. So we have a lot of exciting things, hopefully. Theoretically coming up. We're right now in the month of Nisan, which is the month of the redemption, the time when the Jewish people left Egypt long time ago. And we know that through prophecy, just like the Jews were redeemed from Egypt thousands of years ago, in this month, the month of Nisan, so too says in the future time, when the Messiah comes, they will also be redeemed at this time. So, yeah, pretty intense. But yeah, so so the Lubavitch Rebbe's birthday is coming up. Believe it or not. And there's this interesting discourse that he wrote. So maybe we'll take a quick look at it, see what happens. So anyway, I can't tell how chopped this is, but it's good. It's good. This live is pretty brutal because it's not so. Let's see if we could Okay. Anyway. So let's try to open up Awtsmoos.com, and we have this discourse from the Lubavitch Rebbe that he published on the day of his birthday. And it's all about what makes Jewish people special. What makes Jewish people special? You may be asking. I mean, people think, well, Jewish people are like the chosen people. What does it mean to be? What does it mean to be chosen? Actually, what does it mean to be chosen? So this discourse actually discusses how the main thing that made the Jewish people special. Is not necessarily the choice that the Creator had in them, but it's the fact that they chose and constantly choose the Creator. So let's take a look at what it says, maybe. It's pretty intense stuff, theoretically. And practically. Here, let's see. Let's go to some translations. And here we go. This is from the Lubavitch Rebbe's birthday in 1971. But it's still infinitely relevant. Let's just take a quick glance here at the Awtsmoos. See what it says. See if here we go. It says so basically every day of the month of Nisan, we're supposed to recite this passage from the Torah that talks about how the leaders of the Jewish people a long time ago used to donate these sacrifices for the temple. And the point is that on the 11th day, which is this guy named Asher offered the sacrifices. And all the names of these princes have very significance in the Torah. In the Midrash, it says that all the tribes of Israel were named for the redemption of the Jewish people. Their names represent the redemption somehow. All the tribes, like Judah, Reuben, etc. And Asher, one of the 12 tribes, one of the princes of the 12 tribes, says he was named for the redemption, like it says, because all the nations will call you blessed. For you will be a desirable land. You yourselves, Jewish people, will be like a desirable land. So Ishru Yitzchak Goyim, all the nations will praise you and call you rich, call you blessed. I mean, the word is like to be like happy. So this is like the point is that the Jewish people are like so to speak like blessed. But why? And for the sake of their praise, as it says, happy is a nation whose God is the Lord. There's different kinds of gods people could have, but the best kind is the actual Creator. So the thing is that this Midrash is highlighting the fact that the Jewish people are the ones who chose the Creator. It happens to mention the fact that the Creator also chose them, but that it says that's like a bit of a side point. It says that's like a bit of a side point. So we'll get back to that. So it says when the Prince of Asher came to offer a sacrifice, he offered the sacrifice in the name of the fact that the Awtsmoos chose the Jewish people from all the nations. So this part's a little questionable. It says, and in you, the Lord, your God, chose to be His special people, referring to the verse that talks about how the Jewish people are the chosen nation. So the point is that first, the verse talks about how Asher intended to offer the sacrifice because he was excited about the fact that the Jewish people are the ones who choose the Creator. And then it concludes by saying, and the Creator happens to choose them at the end. So what does it mean that the Jewish people chose the Creator? People think, Jewish people are the chosen nation. But why exactly did that happen? Because it says that when the Creator was about to make the Jewish people chosen, it says in the Talmud that He first went to every other nation in the world, and He spoke every language possible, and He offered them the Torah in all of their own languages, and no one else in the world wanted the Torah. It says they all said I don't know, you're offering us a lot of this big responsibility. I mean, I have to ask my lawyer. I mean, what does it say in it? All this excuses and stuff. But when it came to the Jewish people, the Creator just said they didn't even ask. They didn't even question anything. The Creator just mentioned. So it says there's a major echo after I speak. That's brutal. So they mentioned The point is that the Creator went to all the other nations, and none of the other nations really wanted to be chosen. They all said I don't know, what does it really say in the Torah? I'm not so sure about it. But then when they came to the Jewish people, they said they didn't even question anything. They said, "Oh yeah, whatever you want to say, then we'll listen to you." Basically, so the Jewish people are the ones who chose the Creator, and also constantly when the Jewish people serve the Creator, it's like they're the ones who chose the Creator, as opposed to other idolatrous idols, because the other nations at the time just didn't want the Creator. So that's the point. The main special thing that Asher, the Prince of Israel at this time, brought the sacrifice because he was excited about the fact that the Jewish people are the ones who chose the Creator. It says, and that says the question says the main thing is that the Jewish people chose the Creator, but the conclusion of the point it said was that the Creator chose them. So that's kind of questionable why it mentions that. So basically, this whole discourse is about why the Jewish people by nature choose the Creator as opposed to other things. I mean, they could choose a lot of other things, and other nations also choose other things. So basically, why? It says basically, let's see. So this could be understood. Why is it that the Jewish people choose the Creator specifically? It says in the Midrash, it says, my portion in the world is the Creator, says my soul. So there's different portions of the world that someone could have. But the soul of the Jewish people say, my portion is the Creator. So this is what it's talking about. And it says, in the Midrash, it says, it quotes this verse, it says, this is like an analogy of a king who enters a city. And with him were dukes, prefects, and strategists. The big king, a lot of entourage of people. And then it says other people were watching the king and these people and these officers. And one of these onlookers said, I actually want to take the dukes for myself. I want to be friends with the dukes. Maybe I'll get some connections with the government. And another guy said, I'll take the prefects for myself, a different kind of officer. And another one said, I'll take the strategists. I'll befriend the strategists. So everyone's kind of forgetting about the king. Everyone wants to be friends with the other generals. But then it says there was one wise guy there who said, I will take the king himself, because all of the others can be replaced, changed, but the king can never be replaced, basically. So too says the other nations of the world, says some of them serve the sun, and some of them serve the moon, but Yisroel only serve the Creator. It's like, oh, I'll take the king. Like it says, my portion is the Creator, says my soul, is the translation. So why is that? It says, it's kind of like a question, like, oh, there's one wise person that was able to choose the king. Well, everyone else didn't even know that they should have chosen the king. It's kind of weird. Why weren't the other people choosing the king? It doesn't even make sense. I mean, it makes even someone who's not so wise, and even a small child, knows the king is way greater than the dukes and the other officers of the king. And what is needed for wisdom in order to choose the king? It's the Midrash says, oh, so many people were choosing these other officers, but there's only just one wise guy who actually was able to figure out that the king is more important. So even someone who's not so wise also knows that the king is important. So what's the big deal? It's basically saying. So it says, and it says, not only does it say that, oh, I'll choose the king, but the only reason why he would choose the king is just because the king can't be replaced, while everyone else could be replaced. But even if the king could be replaced, it's still the king is still greater than the other officers. Like it says by King Shaul, it says, from his shoulder and upward, he is taller than all the people. Meaning even the shoulder, which represents the intellect, or no, actually the shoulder is lower than the king's intellect. Even the emotions that are more related to the heart and the shoulder, even the emotions of the king are greater than the intellect of all the nation. That's why it says from his shoulder and above is higher than all the nations. Meaning even the shoulder of the king, even the emotions of the king, is on a higher level than even the intellect of all people. The point is that kings are a very big deal. Kings aren't just politicians. They're the heart of the entire nation, and even the lowest levels of the king are greater than the highest levels of the rest of the nation. So even if the king would be replaced, it's still pretty obvious that people should choose the king. So why is it necessary to explain that all of the others can be replaced? Says one wise guy's I'm going to choose the king because everyone else can be replaced, but not the king. But even if the king would be replaced, he would still choose it, obviously. And why do you need to be so wise to choose a king? So it would seemingly be possible to explain this, according to what is known, that in the early generations of the universe, says there were some people who served the stars and constellations of the sky and the angels. They actually worshipped stars, believe it or not. I mean, who would have known? They knew that the bounty that is bestowed on the earth by the stars and the constellations, like it says, from the abundance of the produce of the sun and the abundance of the produce of the moon, which we'll get back to in a few milliseconds, is not that they themselves bestow it, but that the Creator gives energy through them. But they erred and thought that the bounty bestowed by Him through the stars and constellations was by their own choice. We'll get back to this in a second. And they did not know the truth, that they have no choice at all, and they're only like an axe in the hands of an axe cutter. So the point is, there were people thousands of years ago that actually used to worship the sun and the moon and other stars. But why would they do that, you may ask? Because they realized in reality, the Creator chose to set up the universe, that the energy that's in this world, on the earth, comes to the earth through a spiritual influence of stars and angels and stuff. But the reality is that the energy, even though it comes through the stars and planets, but the planets, etc., do not have any kind of free choice in the matter whatsoever at all. But the idolaters thought that the stars that the Creator uses to direct the world, they thought the stars had some kind of free choice. And because they thought that the stars had some kind of remote hint of free choice, then they started giving thanks to the star. They thought that the stars were deserving of thanks, similar to how if a servant of a king is serving someone food. One would say thank you to the servant, even though the food doesn't even belong to the servant, and the servant is nothing without the king. the servant is just working for the king. People still think the servant, because they're the one who like chooses to do stuff. But when it comes to the stars and stuff, the reality is that the stars have no choice in the fact that the Creator is using them to direct the world. Even though we know from the Torah that the stars are actually alive and conscious, etc. But even though they're alive, they don't have any free choice. They don't have any ability to do anything on their own, and they don't have any ability to stop the Creator from using them. Like the sun does not have the ability to decide to stop being hot, etc. And so too, all the other spiritual energy that is influenced from the stars to the earth, none of the stars have any say in the matter. They're just there, like an axe in the hand of an axe cutter. And they're not servants, even though they're intelligent and aware of their own existence and aware of the Creator. But they don't have any choice. So that's what the idolaters were missing out on. Basically. So this is what the idolaters worship secondary things. The main thing is the Creator. The idolaters, they try to look at this. They don't focus on the main thing. They only focus on the secondary things. They're like, oh, there's stars that cause things to work in the world, so they gotta worship them. But no, I mean, the whole point is to worship the main thing, which is the actual Creator that creates everything constantly and directs everything. All the other intermediaries, like the laws of nature and the stars, they're all nothing. And a more modern example of that, because not many people worship stars nowadays, but sometimes people could like worship their jobs or other things in life that is only meant to get somewhere. Meaning, there's sometimes in life there's different things that are like not the main thing. They're just like intermediaries in order to get something. Like, oh, someone wants to get a job in order to get money to live, whatever. But sometimes people think that the job that they have is an actual source of their livelihood, but they don't realize that all these things in the world, laws of nature, jobs people go to, everything, they're only intermediaries. Nothing in the world can be like a source for itself. Just like the stars can't have any free choice. Only the Creator chooses to direct the world through certain intermediaries sometimes. But the intermediaries regard even like the laws of nature, stars, anything, all the intermediaries don't have any free choice. They're just, one has to recognize that the Creator is the one who's directing everything. And sometimes because of the exile, the Creator works through intermediaries, but the intermediaries are not the main thing. And the Creator is just working through the intermediaries. So like when it comes to a job, it says the main thing one should focus on in a job is to make sure that one is like completely that the job does not disturb them from serving the Creator, including like times of prayer and Torah study at all. And the job should only be done like a little bit, just enough that's necessary in order to receive the blessings of the Creator, which is like similar to like it's gonna say the early idolaters, they realized some truth but not the full truth, because the reality is that I think everything that happens on the earth happens through these stars and constellations, and that's why there's a lot of stars in the universe, because there's a lot of stuff that happens on earth according to the Torah. But they didn't realize that even, I mean, they could sense that there's like some kind of spiritual energy coming from the stars, but they didn't realize that the Creator is the main thing, and that all these intermediaries are not anything for themselves. So basically, therefore, they prostrated themselves to the stars and the constellations and served them, because according to their error, that the bounty bestowed by the stars and constellations is by their own choice. Meaning, I mean, the simple meaning of the bounty bestowed by the stars is like, oh yeah, the sun makes things grow, obviously, and but there's also other more subtle influence that other stars have in the world, as well as the moon and everything. I mean, again, the stars themselves don't have any influence, but the Creator chooses to direct everything in the world through the stars. And not only the stars, but even the stuff in between the stars that people just call empty space, according to the Torah, is actually intelligent matter. It's a different kind of intelligence than physicality, and it's also not fully spiritual because it's still in the physical world. But essentially, it's like the earth is in the center of the universe, surrounded by these intelligent spheres. Like imagine like an onion, where there's like a pit in the middle of the onion, and that's like the earth. And then over the onion, there's like different layers. So too, the earth is in the center of the universe, according to the Torah, as the Rambam discusses. And there's different layers, like an onion layer, that like turn around the earth, and that's how the orbits come from, according to the Torah. So, for example, like the moon orbits the earth because the moon is stuck in the first one of these spheres that turns around the earth really fast, and then that's what causes the moon to go around the earth. And then the other planets that are beyond the moon, they're in a different they're in a different layer, and that other layer also spins around the moon. And then all the stars in the universe rotate around the earth in the center every day. Every 24 hours, the entire universe rotates around the earth. And when that happens, according to the Torah, there's a certain spiritual energy that's like the Creator chooses to use to influence the world through the stars. It could be that the Creator directs things directly as well, but the Creator decided that the stars should be like a tool to guide the laws of nature. So as the stars are rotating, as these spheres are rotating, then that causes like this spiritual energy to influence all the different events in the world, etc. But it's all just from the Creator. It's not like there's no separate free choice. But the idolaters did think, they realized some truth to it, but they didn't realize that the stars had no choice at all. Even though, according to the Torah, the stars and even the stuff in between the stars are all intelligent beings, but they don't have any free choice, as you said. But the idolaters thought that they had the free choice. So it's appropriate, so the idolaters made the mistake, and they thought that since they had free choice, then they should give thanks to the stars for doing a good job. According to the statement, it says, wine to the one who brings it, goodness to the drinker. Okay, no, that's not an accurate translation. No, there's a statement that says that the wine belongs to the owner, but the appreciation should be to the one who brings it. Meaning, like, if there's like a waiter, like a servant giving you some wine at someone else's house, the servant doesn't actually own the house or the wine, but the servant is there. So even though the wine belongs to the owner, but you can still say thank you to the servant. So that's what the early idolaters thought. They realized they didn't deny the Creator himself directly, at first at least. They at first acknowledged that the singular Creator who made the world, set everything up, but they thought that after the Creator set things up, then these stars had some kind of like say in the matter regarding the laws of nature. So they thought that they should thank the stars for the influence that comes to the world through them, but they were wrong. And also because according to their error, that the stars and constellations have choice, they thought that by serving them, they would bestow more upon them. Yeah, they realized that everything in the world comes from the stars, so they realized, if they serve the stars, then maybe they'll get some stuff. They were basically just greedy. They wanted a lot of stuff. So, and from this, it subsequently descended that they came to a greater era. Meaning, this is like the evolution. This is the only evolution that's actually real, because according to the Torah, there's no actual biological evolution, because all those creatures that exist now were created fully grown. The species like dogs and wolves were created separately. The animals literally just grew out of the ground miraculously, already alive. It's not like there was babies or eggs that hatched into chickens. Like the entire chicken just automatically was created fully alive. And so to the body of Adam, the first man, he wasn't created as a baby. He was just created like already alive. So all the species were created alive. So the point is, there's no evolution. But there was an evolution of idolatry that started. The first state of idolatry was to realize there's one Creator, but give thanks to the servants of the Creator, or what they thought were the servants. But then that evolved to an even greater mistake, that they thought that the Lord had abandoned the earth into the hands of the stars and constellations. So even this level, which is the mistaken thought that the Creator would abandon the earth and only gets involved occasionally, even though that is a total idolatry, but they still acknowledge that the Creator was the one who created the world initially and set things in motion, and they realize that whatever power the laws of nature have is only because the Creator set it up. But still, the fact that they say that the Creator later abandoned the world and then the stars have any kind of free choice at all, that is complete idolatry. And the governance of the earth depends only on them, even though they agree that the Creator appointed the stars and stuff. But they thought if they think even for a second that the stars have any control over the world, then that's a big mistake, which is bad. And in the example of a king, like they thought that the stars were like the situation of the stars is like, for example, a king who can appoint rulers to govern the country. And even though the fact that they have the power to govern the country is because the king appointed them to this, meaning like they agree that the stars only exist because the Creator appointed them according to their mistake. But nevertheless, after they were appointed, then the governance of the country is by the rulers. It's like people who think like, oh yeah, the Creator made the world, but then he just like set up the laws of nature like some kind of autopilot, and just like sits in the background and only gets involved once in a while. That is actually idolatry, believe it or not. Even though they agree that the Creator was the one who set up the world, and it's not necessarily denying the singular Creator. It's just saying that even for a second, anything that happens is not from the Creator. That is technically idolatry. And the king does not interfere in this, according to their mistake, except on rare occasions for a great need, which means even idolaters could acknowledge that the Creator could sometimes get involved in the world to make like interventions if there's like a great need for miracles. But that's actually idolatry, because they think that during the times where the Creator is not intervening, then there's other things that are running the world, even for a second. And even though they agree that the laws of nature are all set up from the Creator, but still, even just to think for 1 second that the Creator abandons the world and is not actively involved in every detail of everything, that is technically idolatry. And it can be said that the fact that the nations of the world call him, blessed be he, by the God of lowercase g gods, meaning includes both types. It says idolaters don't always necessarily reject the Creator completely. They call him like a god of other gods. So they agree that there's one Creator, but they also mistakenly think there's like other gods. So when it comes to the Creator, when it comes to idolaters calling the Creator the god of other gods, that could have two extremities. And both of these extreme examples are kind of like idolatry. I mean, the first one is not fully idolatry according to all opinions, but we'll see. That even those who think that the Lord abandoned the earth into the hands of the stars and constellations, which is one of the most severe forms of idolatry, they still call him the God of gods with the lowercase g. Meaning they still agree that even though they think there's other gods, they still agree that he's only the one. And in addition to the fact that he, blessed be he, is higher than them and rules over them, even in the fact that the stars and constellations are considered gods in their mistaken opinion, that is, that they think they have the power to govern the earth and bestow upon it, it is not of their own accord, but only because the Awtsmoos gave power over to them. Meaning, like, even this very severe form of idolatry, where they mistakenly go out of their way to think that the stars have like free choice in the world, etc., to guide the world, which is total idolatry. But even that, they agree that it's not from their own power that it happened. They agree that the Creator was the one who set it in motion. So that's why they call him not just the God who's like stronger than other gods, but they call him like literally the power of all the other gods, like the only power that any other deity in their own mind has. They still agree is from the Creator. But they just deny that the Creator is completely actively involved in every detail, which is problematic. In the example of the king's rulers who governed the country, because the king appointed them to do this, the only power people would have to govern the country is only because the Creator appointed them to do it. So even the idolaters who thought that the Creator abandoned the earth, they agree that, the stars and constellations, etc., they only exist because the Creator appointed them. So that's one extreme of idolatry. So even that extreme it still has some vestige of worshiping the creator is away, because they agree that there's one creator. So, what exactly? So we're just trying to understand like what exactly is idolatry, and what does it mean to us, basically. We'll see. It says like the main idea. We'll see that even the mistake that the mistake that the bounty bestowed by the Awtsmoos through the stars and constellations is by their own choice, which is a little bit also like calling him the God of gods. Meaning the first type of idolatry we said were people who think the creator abandoned the earth into the laws of nature and only gets involved once in a while. But the second type we're mentioning is a different type of idolater who believes that the creator directs the world constantly in every detail, but they think that the laws of nature, meaning like the stars and the angels, etc., they think that they have free choice with to like go against the creator or whatever. Like they think that, I mean, they realize the creator is using the stars, etc., to guide everything in the world, but they think that the stars have some kind of free choice, and even that is considered idolatry in the sense of calling him like the god of other gods. Even the fact that they can do as they please according to them, which they think that the stars have the power to give over the energy or not give over. That's also, meaning the fact that the reason why they would call the stars gods, false gods, is because they mistakenly think that they could that they have any choice to influence the world, and that's basically that's also idolatry, basically. Even though they agree that the creator is actually directing the world, but the fact that they think that these other stars have the choice to stop the flow of energy, that itself is also idolatry. But the main way to exclude the concept of other gods is to know that all intermediaries are only like an axe in the hands of a hewer. So this is the main thing. The main thing is the creator. Everything else is just an intermediary, if that. So we shouldn't worship other things. We should only worship the main thing, which is the